When I first heard about the shooting, I couldn't believe it had happened. I had been just a few blocks away. On February 7, 2008, Cookie Thornton, my middle school gym teacher's husband, shot and killed 5 people at Kirkwood City Hall. 2 police officers, the public works director, who was my sister's friend's dad, and 2 council members, one of who was my Girl Scout troop leader's husband. Thornton was also shot and killed by police. Thornton had also shot 2 others, including the mayor, who later died. I couldn't believe it had happened. They said it was about racism, because the city council had been racist against him. Was that true? Clearly this was just an act of senseless violence, right? Could something this horrible ever be justified? No. My Girl Scout troop leader's husband had planned to retire from the city council in just a few months. He didn't, though. He was at that city council meeting, and now his life had ended, and so had the lives of 6 other people. They said it was about racism. At Kirkwood High School, I had been a part of Council for Unity, a group designed to combat prejudice, but somehow still, I just didn't get it. I didn't get the reality of the continued existence of racism. The shock of that understanding was like a slap in the face. How could this have been going on in my community and I not have been aware that this was happening? I felt as though I should have known. I should have understood. I made a decision. I had to understand it. I started to ask my friends, my coworkers, about their experiences with racism, and they told me. I felt this intense need to know, to expose myself to this reality, to understand this thing that was occurring in my community that could drive this man to such a horrific act of hatred. They said Cookie Thornton was unstable, that his hatred had built over time, but also, yes, many believed that institutional racism existed in Kirkwood. Cookie Thornton lived in Meacham Park, a historic African-American neighborhood that for a long time was a part of unincorporated St. Louis County, right outside of Kirkwood. In 1992, Kirkwood annexed Meacham Park, and a few years later, via eminent domain, a lot of Meacham Park was torn down. A Walmart was built, and so were a couple dozen other stores, along with giant parking lots. They said it was about racism. None of the other areas in Kirkwood where white people lived were torn down. They said people were paid for their homes, but still, how do you demolish a historic community without a second thought? But they said Cookie Thornton was okay with it because he thought his construction firm was going to get contracts. But he didn't. He also got fined for parking his trucks on the streets because of the new municipal codes. He thought it was because of racism. He was convinced it was because of racism. It consumed him. When he went in City Hall that day, he was shouting, "All I want is justice," while he shot everyone. Everyone debated it. Was it really because of racism? Was he being persecuted? In some ways, people thought, well, he was violating the codes, right? What did he expect? But then I heard stories about police patrolling Meacham Park more than any other area in Kirkwood, that Meacham Park residents felt they were being treated differently. They said it was about racism. I began to understand institutional racism for the first time, really, that it goes deeper than name-calling, than who you choose as your friends. I don't know if anyone treated Cookie Thornton differently because he was Black, but there's no denying the historic ingrained disparity that existed between white and Black Kirkwood residents. I mourn the death of those killed with the rest of Kirkwood. I also felt the loss and crumpling of the community, of this attack on our community. Community groups formed at churches, and people came together to work on healing the rifts, to address these real problems of racial disparity and of racial tensions. Kirkwood still has a long way to go, but it's good to know that there are people out there who are trying, who are working together, who understand that it is not an easy fix, that you can't undo generations of inequity and animosity in a day, but they are willing to work together to figure it out, to make a difference, to strive toward healing our community.